What's up, chits? Yeah. We're back. We're live again. Just be vibing, enjoying my shit, man.
Going on, you young ambitious man. Let me tell you about Nevi. Nevi started this thing online. He had a piece of land and he had a dream to build on it a massive mansion for himself and his family. And he stayed pole pole. Akatujengea foundation tukiangalia hapo tu. Akawachana nayo, akaendelea akafanya biashara, akakusanya tu pesa, akarudi. Long story short, Nevi's mansion is up and standing. It is proof that, first of all, you're never going to get 500 million shillings to do a project. It's sacrificing the little you make and putting it where your dream lies. And it's a wonderful mansion. Nevi, I'm so proud of you, by the way. And I'm going to come down for that pool game. That is a deal, no doubt about that. But well done. Because you built that mansion in front of our eyes on social media. I was like, is this boy crazy? No, you weren't. You were just passionate and you had a dream, and I really envy that. So well done, Nevi. We celebrate you here on Classic 105. The Nevi Jackson, what's going on, you young ambitious man? Let me tell you about Nevi.
Meet Joe Lowe, the scammer who was hunted down by agencies all over the world because he stole $5 billion. But the most interesting part of the story is...
Yo, 5 billion is more, by the way. Yo, Butos here. 5 billion is some more.
How he used the money. He basically used it to become the most popular man in the world. But to understand all that, first you gotta understand that Joe Lowe had a problem. Back when he was young in Malaysia, that boy had paper. He said, "Mommy, Daddy, we rich." They said, "Yo, son, so rich, we sending you to school in England." They sent him to school in England with other rich kids around his age. But these kids were a different kind of rich. Like the kids of billionaires, prime ministers. They said, "Joe Lowe." And Joe said, "Huh?" They said, "Why you only got $1,000 for your lunch? Are you broke?" So Joe did what most people in this situation would do. He capped. He said, no, this money is so I can stand on it. Stand on my money, I look taller. Y'all see my new car? Joe spent every cent that his parents sent him to look rich, buying cars, throwing parties. At a certain point, his parents couldn't keep up. So Joe had to start scamming, but in like small ways. If he couldn't pay for a party venue, he just wouldn't pay it for months until they was calling him and saying, "Yo, Joe, give us our cash." He like, "No, it's coming, it's coming." His friend said, "Joe, who are you talking to?" He said, "I was talking to my dad." I said, "My new yacht, it's coming, it's coming." So people started thinking he was a prince from Malaysia. That's how much money he was spending. And so because everybody thought he was a prince, he starts making connections, namely to the stepson of a high-ranking Malaysian official. His name is Najib, and he's very important to the story. Joe Lowe tells him, "Najib, I figured something out." He says, "Through my school connections with some Saudi princes, I found out that a lot of countries in the Middle East has something called a sovereign wealth fund, which basically means taxes go into this fund and that money is used to invest for the country." Meet Joe Lowe, the scammer who was hunted.
So Joe Lowe was a scammer who was hunted by every CIA, FBI, name it, everything. Joe Lowe was hunted by agencies all over the world. So at the airport, I guess you guys are getting me right. Now it reached a point that Joe Lowe was extremely rich, but he wasn't rich. He came from a poor background. So this poor background, Joe Lowe alikuwa got a flex. Oh God. I need a plate. Karibu. The problem with origination haraka. So as I was saying, Jolo was not famous. He wasn't rich. His parents sent him to school. Hi, well, oh gee, hi. Well, he was in school. Oh my God. While he was in school, Jolo did some incredible things. The school that he was in was a rich school. Jolo managed to con everyone in his entire life. Like he managed to con everyone, including his parents. You see, that's why sometimes I always say it's important to be wise in mind. So Jolo conned everyone. So one day, a friend called Jolo and said, "Jolo, what are you doing? I lent you money some times back, but you haven't returned that money." So Jolo, while he was on the phone, his classmates were around. So Jolo faked everything, and Jolo said, "Yo, it's my new yacht." So he told he told the guy that he was in a phone call with. "Your money is going to come. Just wait." When a classmate asked Jolo, Jolo said, "Nah, it's my new yacht that's going to come. Just wait." So Jolo, his parents used to send him money for school fees. Jolo will buy a new car. Jolo will invest in new things. But as time was going, remember Jolo was not rich. Okay, Jolo was not rich. As time was going, Jolo grew into debt, big debt. Like the life, make sure you like the life. Jolo grew in big debt. Hello. So as Jolo was going in big debt and everything seemed so easy for him. But now reached the, in Saudi we have this. They have this big national fund. How is this national fund being managed? This national fund is being managed through uh, taxpayers' money. So Jolo managed to listen to this.
Down by agencies all over the world because he stole $5 billion. But the most interesting part of the story is how he used the money. He basically used it to become the most popular man in the world. But to understand all that, first you gotta understand that Jolo had a problem.
Jolo had a problem. You've listened to that. Jolo had a problem spending people's money. Jolo stole some kind of big money, and nobody knew Jolo didn't have that money. Jolo had parties with this boy who acted Titanic. Jolo met every famous person in the world. Jolo was extremely rich, but not that rich. Fake rich. Listen to this.
Back when he was young in Malaysia, that boy had paper. He said, "Mommy, Daddy, we rich." They said, "Yo, son, so rich, we sending you to school in England." They sent him to school in England with other rich kids around his age. But these kids were a different kind of rich. Like the kids of billionaires, prime ministers. They said, "Jolo." And Joe said, "Huh?" They said, "Why you only got $1,000 for your lunch? Are you broke?" So Joe did what most people in this situation would do. He capped. He said, no, this money is so I can stand on it. Stand on my money, I look taller. Y'all see my new car? Joe spent every cent that his parents sent him to look rich, buying cars, throwing parties. At a certain point, his parents couldn't keep up. So Joe had to start scamming, but in like small ways. If he couldn't pay for a party venue, he just wouldn't pay it for months until they was calling him and saying, "Yo, Joe, give us our cash." He like, "No, it's coming, it's coming." His friend said, "Joe, who are you talking to?" He said, "I was talking to my dad." I said, "My new yacht, it's coming, it's coming." So people started thinking he was a prince from Malaysia. That's how much money he was spending. And so because everybody thought he was a prince, he starts making connections, namely to the stepson of a high-ranking Malaysian official. His name is Najib, and he's
Make sure you like the life before you leave.
very important to the story. Joe Low tells him, "Najib, I figured something out." He says, "Through my school connections with some Saudi princes, I found out that a lot of countries in the Middle East has something called a sovereign wealth fund, which basically means taxes go into this fund, and that money is used to invest for..."
As I was saying, tax was coming to I don't know if you guys can get this. Tax was coming to hello, hi, hello, hi. So Jolo had money, and people started thinking Jolo is a prince. Hello, Alex. Listen to this.
The country. Meet Joe Low, the scammer who was hunted down by agencies all over the world because he stole $5 billion. The most interesting part of the
That's Jolo. Let's dive into this channel. Let's listen to this. Let's give him a follow up first. Give yo, this account is very big, but let's support this guy. So another story.
Debbie's lawyer says, all right, cool. We're going to take it down from 10 million to 2 million. Let's just knock it all down. Eminem says, okay, good idea. But how about this? How about she gets $0? I'd rather pay, in his own words, $100,000 in lawyer fees so she doesn't see a dime. The lawyers looked at each other. They said, oh, them folks for real. Everybody looked at Debbie. They said, can you be the voice of reason in all this? She said, absolutely. And you can listen to all my reason in my new diss track. Yes, she releases a diss track towards Eminem saying, hey, I was a good mom. You suck. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Boom, fast forward. It's time for court. The judge says, Mama, how much you want? She said, 2 million. The judge said, two. Hold on, in dollars or naira?
Wait, 2 million. The fuck? That's Eminem's mom. And Eminem's mom sued Jolo for absolutely. No, not Jolo. Eminem mom sued Eminem, expecting Eminem for him to give him cash.
She said, dollars? He said, no. Because here's the thing. It's really hard to win a defamation case, which she was suing her son Eminem for, saying that he defamed her, which would mean she would have to prove that all the things Eminem said about his childhood wasn't true, which would be extremely difficult to do. Now, the question remains, is the stuff Eminem said about her true or not? I don't know. I wasn't there. But there are people that were. His uncle says, absolutely not true. Debbie's lawyer says, all right. Cool. We're going to take it down from 10 million to 2 million. Let's just knock it all down. Eminem says, okay, good idea. But how about this? How about she gets $0? I'd rather pay, in his own words, $100,000 in lawyer fees so she doesn't see a dime. The lawyers looked at each other. They said, oh, them folks for real. Everybody looked at Debbie. They said, can you be the voice of reason in all this? She said, absolutely. And you can listen to all my reason in my new diss track. Yeah, she releases a diss track towards Eminem saying, hey, I was a good mom. You suck. And here's where it starts. Kinda. His mom did the best that she could. A few of Debbie's ex-boyfriends, though, said, nah, that boy Eminem. Oh, yeah, nobody hated their mom. Done. The aura was palpable. Michael Jackson had arrived. Everybody started losing it. They said, Michael, it's Michael. Michael Jackson said, hi, everybody, hello. And you got to understand, they're in the middle of Skid Row. You got the two biggest rival gangs at the time in the area. You got the police in the area. You got professionals, directors, industry people, and everybody froze up when Michael hit the scene. Michael pulled up to the gangsters. He said, hi, and what gang are you from? They said, we from the Crip gang. Michael said, oh, okay, I like what you do with your hands. Is that some sort of ghetto sign language? They said, no. Like, it showed what set you from. Michael said, The Bloods and the Crips actually get together and they call a truce. They said, look, Michael Jackson here, we got to be on our best behavior. And this was quite literally Michael Jackson's goal. He wasn't delusional. He didn't think that he was going to fix the Bloods and the Crip rivalry, but he wanted them to get together for a moment just to see that they could stop beefing and watch a performance
And everything happened in accordance to Michael Jackson. How Michael Jackson wanted everything. So let's continue.
Performance they did. This is actual members from the Crips in the music video watching Michael Jackson dance in awe. They said while Michael Jackson was dancing for the video, they said everybody in the room was stunned silent. And the thing about Michael Jackson is he didn't have to do this, but he genuinely wanted to change the world. This picture I was showing you this whole time is actually the second time he hung out with the Crips during the video of The Way You Make Me Feel. He was shooting it in LA again, so he called the Crips.
You mean gangsters lined up for Michael Jackson? And Michael gave them an extraordinary performance. They acted on their best performance. Damn, Michael Jackson was the king.
Over, he said, yo, y'all pull up. And how this picture was taken is they actually went up to Michael and they told him, look, they made us sign an NDA saying that we can't take no pictures. Michael Jackson said, don't worry about that. Let's take a picture right now. During the picture, the Crips were actually standing there on their best behavior until Michael Jackson throws up the C sign for the Crips, and they start losing it, and they start putting up the C signs themselves. And from that day on, they called Michael Jackson an honorary Crip. You see, it's one thing to make a song and talk about changing the world, but Michael Jackson actually lived by his lyrics. And
that's how I expect rappers to be. Live in what you're talking about. If you are okay, Miss Jongi venye mnakuanga nyinyi marappers wa Kenya, mostly mkikujanga tuseme marapa wa Kenya kwanza walipangi music videos, acha niwaambie tu kweli, na mimi kitu nakwanga mimi ni piece off kabisa. As long as wewe ni rapper, as long as wewe ni musician, kuwa ready kulipa fees of videographer, editor, every vixen, kila mtu. Like releasing a music video, it's basically one of the hardest things, but we make it simple for you guys, but you don't pay. Yes, you don't pay.
Would actively try to change the world with his own two hands. And that's what made him a star. So rest in peace, Michael Jackson, the honorary Crip. Done. All right, we're going to be in the studio. You see, there was only one person. She didn't sing her song the first time. They just played a recording. I actually look up to God and said, oh, you gave me this as a sister, and then you're going to do me like this? Like, you think I'm your strongest soldier for real, huh? So Ashley then responds by doing the most embarrassing thing possible. She does a hoedown. You think I'm joking? No, she actually does a cowboy jig hoedown. She stops, and then she just walks off stage. Very talented. People be saying, they basically started saying comments like, we're the Europe of South America. Like, we basically European. All the countries around them started looking at them. Because here's what things, man, where all my Nicki Minaj, man, where all my Argentinians at? Well, they probably not watching my videos because they're racist as hell. Now, I Show Speed found this out as he was covering a game between Argentina and Egypt. He had a problem. Now, I want you to listen to this next part closely. Speed is a big Cristiano Ronaldo fan. And because of the whole Messi versus Ronaldo thing, he does not root for Messi. Messi is from Argentina. So when Speed watches the Argentina games, he roots for the other team. So during the Argentina versus Egypt game, Speed is making gestures at Messi like miss, 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 miss. And Argentina fan starts making monkey gestures at Speed in response, prompting FIFA to do an investigation into Argentina's fans, because this wasn't the only time Argentinian fans had done this. They were screaming, go cry at a zoo to Speed. They were screaming, go home. This fan in particular, that's her right there. She's screaming, N-word, go home to Speed. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. Why is Argentina so comfortable doing this type of stuff on live TV? Mind you, this is level 10 racism. They not embarrassed about this. They saying, no, we just doing what we do. Man, where all my Argentinians at? Well, they probably not watching my videos because they're racist as hell. Now, I Show Speed found this out as he was covering a game between Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey and L.A. Reid at this point are pretty much talking at the same time. But you could tell they could hear each other. So the argument's like escalating because they hear each other going back and forth and stacking up. Nigga, when I said, I'm talking, like, I'm just going to continue talking. Mariah Carey said, that's basically all you do. So go ahead, like, keep going. Now, Keith Urban just jumps in and he says to the girl, you're going to Hollywood. Like, we're here for the girl at this point. L.A. Reid and Mariah Carey keep going, though. They said to the girl, all right, go ahead. You going to Hollywood. Just saying, though, like, we're just trying to help you with your voice and all that. L.A. Reid said, I've been doing this for 30 years. Like, I'm just trying. Nicki Minaj says, that was her last straw. She said, oh, okay, let me just shut up then. Let me just stop talking. She gets up, she walks out. Mariah Carey, she keep it going. Mariah Carey, if y'all know Mariah Carey, she don't stop. She said, oh, that was my move. I was about to get up and walk off. Next time, Nicki Minaj sit over here start yapping. Nicki Minaj backstage goes, shut the fuck up. And boom, the camera immediately cuts. Now, they recorded some of what happened next when Nicki Minaj came back. Look at this producer's hand. He's stressed out. They start arguing for real, back and forth. And if American Idol's got to cut it, they like a little bit of drama. If they got to cut it, it was really bad. It got to a point where Nicki Minaj allegedly said, man, if I had you would be... Now, she may have said this sarcastically, but Mariah Carey didn't take it like that. Mariah Carey said she got extra bodyguards. She said she was fearing for her life. She said she didn't feel safe around Nicki Minaj anymore. And the tension really just never stopped. Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey would continue to go at it. Sly comments here and there, but there's some jabs. But they was doing it with a smile on their faces. For example, Mariah Carey says to Nicki Minaj at one point, live TV, she said, yeah, Nicki, I was talking about number ones. I know you don't know nothing about no number ones. Girl, Nicki Minaj said, And I can't stress to you enough how much the show was all about Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey's drama. Remember that girl we were talking about earlier who auditioned for them and didn't want to sing country music? Well, this ain't her. The girl looked like this, but you wasn't paying attention. You was worried about the drama. See, so was everybody else. That's why people would tune in, not to watch the singers. They wanted to see what Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey was going to say next. So the season ends up being pretty much all about Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey's drama. So afterwards, they called them all to the studio. They said, hey, look, everybody. Nicki Minaj said, don't worry, I quit. Mariah said, I quit too. L.A. Reid got there and said, I quit. I've been doing this for like 20 years, but I quit. The studio said, thank God. How about we all just go our separate ways? They all went their separate ways. Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey and L.A. Reid at this point are pretty much talking at the same time. But you could tell they could hear each other. So the argument's like escalating as because they hear each other going back and forth and stacking up. Now, Nicki Minaj has been in a lot of beefs in her life, but there was one beef in particular that might be the most intense. And that was her very public beef with none other than Mariah Carey on the set of American Idol. You see, this whole thing started because American Idol had a problem. Nobody was watching them anymore. Their ratings were going down.
For what, man? Why are you saying sorry? Have you wronged me? No, you haven't. I'm just, I don't have anybody to talk to, so I'm listening to a story. That's all. Pinky, 21, bro.
Simon left, Paula Abdul left. They needed to shake things up, so the executives got together in the room. They said, look, we need some new judges. Who we got? Somebody said, what about somebody classic, like Frank Sinatra? They said, you fired. We looking for somebody more urban, stupid. Who else we got? Somebody said, what about Wheezy F Baby? Please say the baby. It's 2010s. He's pretty popular right now. They said, okay, that's a little too urban for our taste. You're fired. Somebody else. Somebody said, Mariah Carey? I mean, she a little urban. She a little nice. He said, that could work. So boom, Mariah Carey was chosen. That's a no-brainer. But they needed somebody else. Somebody to really bring in the young.
Where have you taken back your like, man? Give me that like, I need it. Or you can just subscribe to support me at least. You don't have to take your like back.
Crowd. So yo, I'm Mariah Carey. Y'all gonna hire this random upstart Nicki Minaj over here. Nobody knew where he came from, but everybody knew he had a lot of money, but he was running out fast. So what did he do? Well, he went back to the fund and steals $4 billion from Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund. These are Malaysian tax dollars. And he does it with the help of Goldman Sachs, one of America's most popular banking investment firms. But since he's taking so much money from Malaysians, the Malaysian citizens aren't seeing the money. So they said, yo, where's the money? Najib, the prime minister, said, where's Joe? They said, he partying with the Kardashians. He just bought Kim Kardashian a Ferrari for her birthday. The prime minister said, Interpol, which is basically like the FBI for the world, comes in and says, Najib, what's going on? Najib said, nothing. But suddenly somebody who worked for the fund couldn't take all the stealing. So they emailed everything that Najib and Joe Low were doing to the people. The Malaysian people were outraged. Najib had the audacity to try to run again. They said, yeah, run from prison. You're going to jail. Police seized $300 million in drip, fashion, jewelry from this dude. But now it's time for the big one. Where's Joe Low? Joe Low was gone. And that's what makes this story so incredible. Joe Low gets away, but he does it cleverly. Listen closely. If he's in Malaysia, he's going to jail. So he leaves Malaysia. If he's in America, he's in trouble. Now, step 2, deal with America. Because wherever you are in the world, Americans are all about their paper and they will find you. So he lets America take like all his assets, which is like $100 million. They're like, okay, we want some more paper though. So he gives Americans like $1 billion saying, oh, my bad. And now you know the American government does not care. But to still look good, they still say, okay, he's still a criminal, wanted on like other charges. But we're just not going to go looking for him. The Goldman Sachs guy, who I believe was the CEO of Goldman Sachs, jail, and Joe Low runs away to China. Everybody said, China? I said, we don't know what y'all talking about, because it's embarrassing to protect a fugitive of his caliber. They said, but it's reported that he's sliding some government officials in China some dollars. And well, that kind of sucks for the people of Malaysia, because he still has hundreds of millions of dollars of their money. And he got away. Nobody knew where he came from, but everybody knew he had a lot of money. But he was running out so the country could become rich. Najib said, meet Joe Low, the scammer who was hunted down by agencies all over the world because